welcome to another edition of Yorkshire Chef. This week what I'm going to be making is beef and pork mince and rice pie. It's quite a simple recipe and I'll show you how to make it. Here's our ingredients. We've got butter and flour, we've got 70 grams of rice, that's 220 grams of butter plus 220 grams of flour plus 50 grams of butter. We've got some turkey mince and one tomato. Right, just position camera back and we'll get on with making it. First thing you want to do is do a pastry mix. That's just basic butter and flour as usual. Just pour that in. And it's as usual, it's your basic rubbed in method. Just get it nicely rubbed in there. And I'm not going to be making a very big one of these. It's only going to be for one person, so I won't be needing much pastry. And when you're making pastry, just gradually add your water. You don't want to add too much. Nearly forgot to mention you should flour your hands before you start. I've made pastry before on quite a few of my other recipes, but it's always nice not to have to bother flicking through contents of a channel just to get to the pastry method, and gradually that should all bind together. Sticks to your fingers though. Just knead it with thumbs like that. Make a well in it. Put a small amount of water in and just fold it back in and knead it, and eventually you should get a nice stiff doughy ball going. There's no real magic to making pastry actually, it's just takes a bit of practice and a bit of patience. Yeah, it's going into a nice stiff ball now. It's nice and pliable. First thing we need to do before we roll our pastry out is to flour the surface. Sprinkle some flour on the surface when you roll your pastry so it doesn't stick. Tablespoon of water to start with, and just flour my hands again, keep forgetting to do that. basically knead it in. Get it nice and pliable. Now we need to cut this in half because I'm going to use half of this for the bottom and half of this for the top, so cut that nicely in half. Throw that into the bowl. Then get this into a nice round shape. The old rolling pin or metal flask. Just roll it out. Probably can't see that so well with flour, but there it is. Nice and stiff and pliable. This is bowl I'm going to be using. It's a serving for one person, and it's not going to be a terribly big item. Let's roll it out a bit more. Still not quite there. It's a bit more work. The thinner you get this, the better it is actually, because I'm not a great fan of thick pastry crust myself. See if that does it. Finally, got there in end. And what you want to do then is just drape it over your bowl or your slightly bigger container, it depends what you want to use. Press it onto the edges and just trim away any excess dough. It does have an habit of shrinking back, unfortunately. Okay, so that's sorted that one out. I've got it at shape at pot, as you can see. And next thing you want to do is just do that with a spoon. It's better. Sprinkle a bit of water inside it. You can glaze it with egg. I'd recommend you doing that, but I haven't got any eggs, so forget it. So that's your pastry base sorted out, and it's looking quite good. Well, it was. Yeah, it really should have been basted with egg. I'll just patch it up there. That's it. So, your first ingredient to go in is your turkey mince. And I'll show you how to do that. What to do with this is, when using rice, is pre-cook your rice first, or pre-prepare it. And I've got 70 millilitres weighed out. And to that you won't need to add 300 millilitres of water, which should be about that. Very cheap stuff is rice, that's why Chinese eat it a lot. You don't need much of it. Stir it round. Apparently you're supposed to rinse it first. This is just as good as rinsing it. So you're working through a sieve. Sieve it into a pan. Practically as good as rinsing it. Sieving it into a pan. Well, placing it into a pan. I've never actually cooked rice before, so I'm probably doing this ass about face. Should be it. You need 300 millilitres of water in with that. Just give it a stir round. This needs to cover and simmer for 12 to 15 minutes, and apparently you can add seasoning, and I'm just going to add some of this. Just going to put some of this seasonal stuff in. It's quite nice stuff. Just season it a bit. Just a poundful in there. You'll forgive slowness at demonstration. It's just that I've never cooked rice before. Okay, so our rice is now partly cooked. You only need to partly cook this for about 10 minutes just to get it going. And see what we need to do next. Next we need to drain it in a sieve. Rinse it with boiling water. I can't show you me doing this because the camera's on a fixed angle at the moment. So what we do next is just spoon rice into the bottom of a pan or pot or whatever. And you want to leave this to cool as well. Well, not cool, just to slightly cool down. I should have mentioned at this point that you should chop your tomatoes. Then you add your mince on top of that, and you need to partly cook your rice before you add your mince, otherwise it will never cook. And next you want your chopped tomatoes, which should have been done earlier. I'll just do them now. So peel a tomato, it's a bit awkward in it, time consuming. Just gently get under the skin like that. It's a bit harder than peeling an orange or an apple, but it's well worth doing this. Just peel continuously down. Tomatoes peeled, then you just take it from centre at core like that. Just take it from centre and diagonally like that. Just chop it like that. Slice and chop. Whether you want pips in is a matter of opinion. Just bring our pie back. And squeeze the juice of tomato onto mince before you add it, just to get a bit of flavour in. It's always nice if you chop it nice and fine, then you get it more distributed. I think tomato puree would have been better with this. You can add onions to this as well, but I'm not a great. It's looking pretty nice as well. It's going to be fairly tasty this when it's done. And that's your basic pie done. It's fairly nice and presentable, that. Next thing you want to do is roll out your pastry top from remainder of pastry that we did earlier. Same procedure as at the bottom. Get a bit of moisture going. And if I can find it, it's soaking in water. Backwick rolling pin hot metal flask. You don't want your pastry top too thick, so it's not too wide, so just cut a bit off there so we can get it a bit thinner. Let's get some shape into it as well. So it should be nice and pliable. This will just about go, but stretch over the top. Of course, another method in pastry is to stretch it over the top, and should really be basting it with egg, but as I don't have any. Stretch that nicely over the top. Crimp it with a fork as well, that's a good way to seal it down. I don't really want to trim sides of this off yet because we had a problem with it shrinking back in, because it's an awkward size container, it tends to shrink back into the container. It's not an ideal pie dish really. It's what I call a one-person pie dish. Just leave it there like that and give it some weight. And there you go, one pie. That should take about 20 minutes in oven. Should be an operative word.